Hello, everybody, and it's Linjo on Naturally Adventurous podcast, and I'm back here, and I'm happy to say hello to everyone, Ken and Charley.
Hi, Linjo.
Hey, Linjo.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here again.
You're becoming like the third host.
Yeah, I'm becoming a regular, I think. Thanks to the pandemic.
Nice to hear you guys. You guys are on the road, are you?
Indeed. Yeah. We're in the town of Finaransua right now in sort of south central Madagascar. And it's
always struck me as quite an interesting town. It's quite sort of hilly. We always drive through it on tours, but never really stop.
Yeah, exactly. We normally pick up a picnic lunch here to eat in the park, Ranamafana National Park, and so it's also the first time I've really spent time here. And so this morning, Charley, I took a walk. So we're sort of down the hill from the old center of town, and I took a walk up the hill, and I was absolutely blown away. It's like this ancient city it's like 200 years old. It was built around 1830. There's all these like cathedrals and medieval houses. It's really like this UNESCO site type place. Absolutely fascinating. And I've never even heard of it before. I mean, I've lived here for almost 10 years, and it's kind of simultaneously a cool thing about Madagascar that there's so many like undiscovered gems, but it's also a bit sad because it's like so underexposed. It's just such a remarkable place that really, in other parts of the world, you'd have tens of thousands of tourists streaming through this place because it's just as amazing. You know, I've been to like Siena in Italy and some of these old towns. I wouldn't say it's any less interesting than those places.
And so it's kind of built on lots of it's kind of hilly landscape, just covered in lots of old buildings and stuff.
Yep, hilly, kind of like Tana. I guess it was sort of a marina. So the marinas, they were the group that sort of dominated and unified the whole island, and they set this up. So it was already a town, but then they set it up as like a sort of a colonial regional center. And it's funny because it's sort of modeled on Tana, on Antananarivo, the capital. So they're sort of setting up Tana in miniature. There's even like a little lake down below the hill, and there's a palace on top of the hill, and they really tried to reconstruct Tana. But it's actually far nicer than Tana, and better preserved than. Yeah. The whole zone is preserved in a way that nothing in Tana is. So I'll put some photos on the picture gallery for the episode.
It's always struck me as a really fascinating place, and it's somewhere I'd always thought of exploring. But the day we go through it, it's such a long drive, and we're in such a rush. It's
exactly.
Like, you never have a chance.
I'll tell you, I bet Renelle would absolutely love, Charley's wife would absolutely love this, little markets and just culturally fascinating and just picturesque and beautiful. And the Malagasy Highlands are amazing and really kind of underappreciated as something, because it's like medieval in a way, almost like parts of Europe, but then it's still living. There's still this town where I wandered through this morning. Kids are going to school. People are living in all these houses. It's like a living place. I'm sure all the churches on the top of that hill are full every Sunday of people. It's not like medieval cathedrals that almost nobody even goes to anymore. It's remarkable.
It feels like a film set. They spent millions of dollars making it look like it's hundreds of years ago. But it's
exactly
like that.
Exactly.
I'm glad Ken went on the walk. I told him when we stopped here, it might be interesting for you to go there. But then when he came back, he was like, "Wow, Linjo, I didn't expect that," and that was very nice. and he didn't have to take any guide. He just walked by himself, and it was nice.
It's a big university town, is it?
Yes, big university town.
I think that's what you've told me before when we've been going by. So it's quite a lot of young adults there. It's got quite a.
And for the IT, that's the kind of IT city.
Okay.
Although you still have the old houses and medieval feeling.
Funny.
But that's where there's a paradox, but it makes it interesting. And Fianarantsoa, it's the first time for Ken to stay here overnight.
Yeah, first time I've ever slept here.
Right.
And then we also spent a night in the town of Ambusitra, which we also stop over briefly for lunch on the tours that we guide. And it's also
that's where we go for that's like a little
Yeah,
what's it
your
called?
shop.
Artisan.
L'artisan. Yep, it's famous for
L'artisan.
wood carving and for all kinds of artisanal things,
Yeah.
and it really is just an incredibly fascinating, charming town, mostly made out of wood.
So when my wife had her own little gift shop, when I was guiding, I would always make sure that I stopped in this town and I would do like major shopping, in like the time that clients would want to just buy one or two souvenirs for their family. I had to buy I had to buy 10 kilos of gifts and handicrafts and carvings and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, so it was.
Yeah, it was strange for people. Oh, what is
Our guide is buying
guides.
75 hats. Oh, this is interesting. I'll never forget the story of you getting through the Tana airport with a stack, like a meter high stack of hats that you were bringing home.
So it was always a challenge to get things by. I had like a gold mileage card or whatever, so I got extra baggage allowance, but I was always trying to take the full amount of hand luggage as well. So I would have like a loaded backpack and another couple of shopping bags, and then one year I bought this massive stack of hats, and I went through, and all the customs officials there, they're all in these like white uniforms, and I kind of went through the security, and there was a line of them. There was like 6 customs officials all lined up in their white things, and the guy's like, he points at my hats and says, "Hey, les chapeaux." And I said, "Oui, chapeaux."
Ah, ouais, oui.
He says, "Oh, oui, beaucoup de chapeaux." And I was like,
Beaucoup de chapeaux.
ce n'est pas beaucoup de chapeaux. I was like, it's not a lot of hats. It's just a few hats. He goes,
Just a
no,
few
it's
hats.
so many hats. It's like a 2-foot stack of hats, and they were like, "No, monsieur, les chapeaux." And I said, "Oh, no." Yeah. And the trick is just to keep sort of shrugging your shoulders and just act like it's no big deal, and you sort of in the end they just sort of wave you on. But yeah, it was quite it's quite funny.
Very good acting. And you with the scarves, I always remember the scarves, the silk scarves.
Yeah, the wild silk scarves, right?
Ken is always teasing me about that story until now.
He teases me because my wife had a shop, and of course you got to try and get a good buy things for a good price so you can sell them and make a profit. But of course these people are the people selling them. They're all fairly poor. So Ken's always making fun of me, a sort of haggling these poor people down to the last cent, to try and get the best price.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that you put several different artisanal stalls out of business in Majunga because they sold things at a loss, and then they just had to just roll it up and go home.
And I remember first time I met you I didn't know you were having your wife's shop. You tried to explain me, but for me it's it's unusual. So when we went in Chile, you told me I need to go to that shop, and then I was supposed to be the guide, but you knew the marketplace better than I did. So it was like haggling. Okay. And then you kind of were very familiar and friendly with all of the sellers and the shops, and we meet in 15 minutes, and then you come back full with stuff and good price. So it's a good story to remember.
It was good, from someone who didn't used to like shopping, I became a real sort of shopaholic and quite a sort of I became a buyer, an international handicraft buyer.
Bulk international handicraft buyer.
Anyway, so I'm very keen to hear all about what you guys have been up to, but I'll give you a little quick rundown on what I've been doing since we spoke last.
Yeah, you were still down south, right? Somewhere around Bangkok.
Yeah. So basically, we were visiting friends over New Year, and then we had to come back up for the new school term. And my wife had a friend that was in sort of northeast Thailand, so we had to do a long circuitous route just to visit this friend and head back to Chiang Mai. But during this time, COVID has made a huge reappearance in the country, from having 0 cases.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you couldn't come in the country without doing quarantine. But what happened was migrant workers were coming in. They were sort of just skipping across. They were going across the rivers, and people would take them in trucks to go and work in these big shrimp processing plants on the Gulf of Thailand with hundreds and hundreds of Burmese workers. And of course, none of them have been tested. And Myanmar was really, COVID is getting quite rampant there. So of course, they were bringing it all in. So from 0 cases, they started to find that a lot of these migrant workers were bringing COVID in. And they found one factory, I think there was maybe 900 people in this one factory. So from 0 cases, the next day they had 900 just from the one place. And then they found at all these other places. And then some of these people were going to different places and, traveling around the country. So all of a sudden it became, it started getting around. And then there was the threat of lockdown. And I wasn't at home, And last time they closed down the provincial borders. So it's not possible to get from province, or if you do get to a different province, you had to do a 2-week self-quarantine. So we were really trying to sort of avoid any of this problems. We were sort of avoiding the worst hit provinces and just going to the quiet areas. But we met up with my wife's old friend who's recently come to live in Thailand, and we went to a wildlife sanctuary that I hadn't been to before. And so you'll know Khao Yai National Park, of course.
Right, that's not far from Bangkok.
No.
Yeah, maybe 2.5, 3 hours from Bangkok. So from there, you keep going. You turn off to go there, but if you keep going along that same road for another 3 or 4 hours, you end up in the area called Isan, this sort of northeastern area, and the province of Chayapum, which is very little visited by tourists. You didn't see any other foreign tourists there at all. And then we went to a wildlife sanctuary that was called Pu Kiao, which I managed to find because this friend of ours, she had to stay in province, otherwise she would have had to do quarantine as well, and lost 2 weeks' pay. So we found a place that was in her province, and it was fantastic. It was so nice to go somewhere else, because on the tours that we do, we always go to the same places, so it was nice to visit a new wildlife sanctuary. Yeah, and it was very cool. We camped there for 3 nights, I think. Yeah, and we had a wonderful time. So the highlight, I think, we saw a few mammals. It was a bit like Khao Yai in that it had sort of bits of forest and then big open areas of grassland. It was like a mosaic.
Right.
And in the grassland, you got a lot of hog deer, and there were also some samba deer. But in the early morning, you got this kind of mist settling over these grassy hills, and you get these small little groups of hog deer, and it was very picturesque. I'm going to put some pictures on the gallery, but it was a very special place. But the highlight was actually the campsite, and the afternoon that we were there, which was New Year's Eve, we went for a little walk along the road. And just on the edge of the road, I saw this bird walking out, and I put my bins up, and I saw it was a Siamese fireback, which is a type of pheasant, and they're gorgeous. Bird. Again, I'll put in. Yeah, and they're not one of these kind of very gaudy, brightly coloured. They've got this very sort of understated beauty. They're like a sort of deep grey blue, velvety grey blue colour with some sort of kind of sapphire blue scaling on the flanks, and these big plumed black feathers, and these little like a little crest on the head. And they're called a fireback because they've got this small little patch on the back that it's like a golden colour, and you only see it when they flap their wings. So sometimes the birds come out and they flap their wings, and you'll see this little hidden golden patch on their back, which is really cool.
I guess that's the display is flapping the wings and then revealing that patch.
Yeah. Yep. And they do like a sort of very audible wing beat. So I saw one of these birds coming out on the road, and there was 4 of us. There was me and my wife and my son and this friend of ours. We were walking along the road, and I was like, "Everyone, stop! Don't move! Don't move!" and we look over there, and I point it out to everybody, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, great!" And another one comes out, and another one, and another one.
Wow.
And I think in the end there was like 10 of these beautiful pheasants in the road.
Wow.
And I was like, creeping closer and closer. And I was taking more photos and getting video, and everybody was moving a little bit closer. And in the end, it became obvious that these birds were just incredibly tame. We stood there, and they kept walking closer and closer to us. And my wife was wearing sandals, and she had her nails painted like green, bright green nail varnish. And this pheasant came up, and it started pecking her toenails. It was insane. And then there was cars coming along, and we were stopping them and like, oh, don't disturb the birds. And then they drove by, and these birds just didn't have a care in the world. They just didn't. Yeah, so these birds just all came, and they're just walking around on the road, and we're getting photos and videos, and my son as well. It's really nice for kids, especially when birds get very close to them. You know, they feel a real connection. And it was amazing, and we watched these birds for like half an hour. We were taking pictures and stuff, and it was late afternoon. And I'm thinking, tomorrow's New Year's Day. You know, with birders, one of the things that's quite cool is your first bird of the year. Is getting a cool first bird of the year. And I seem to remember in 2020 it was a rock pigeon. I went out. I was in Myanmar, and I was going to go out bird watching, but of course I see these rock pigeons in the road, and I thought, no, I'm definitely going to get a good bird for my my first bird of the year. And I thought, how can I make sure that my first bird of the year is the Siamese flyback? And I thought, I'm going to see where they go to roost.
Yep.
And it's late evening, and then I see one of these birds kind of flies up into the trees, and then one after the other, they all fly up, and they go to roost. And I'm sort of making a mark on the road, and I'm making an X with some branches, so I can remember in the early morning where these birds went to roost. And because it's winter, you know, the sunrise is quite late. It was maybe 6:45 or something like that. So we woke up early the next morning, and walked up to that spot, and we're looking around. I'm trying to find this spot. It's sort of half light. And I'm making sure I don't look up in the air or up at the end of the tree, so I get another bird. and I'm trying to scan for these birds. And I was like, oh God, I can't remember which branch they were on. And I'm looking, and I just see this kind of lump in the dark, and I'm like, oh,
I hope that's it.
That's it. And we waited around for maybe 10-15 minutes, and then they sort of flapped to the ground, and then they just walked back on the road, and again they do the same thing of walking around us. So that was very cool, eh? And I was wondering why on earth, because they're not normally easy birds to see, because when we go to Khao Yai, you've really got to
quite shy.
You know, yeah, they're quite shy, and you've got to drive along listening for rustling leaves, or, you know, walking the road really quietly and hoping they sort of come out in the road. But I couldn't understand why these birds were so tame. But in the campsite, there was quite a few Thai campers, and there was one lady, and she had some rice, I think, and she's just kind of emptying this rice out on the edge of the campsite. And then a while later, that on New Year's Day, all these pheasants just walked through the campsite, pecking on bits of rice and stuff that all the campers had left. So basically, it was the campsite that had made them so tame.
So it wasn't photographers who were
no, they weren't being fed with grain at a specified spot or whatever. Yeah. They were just coming through. They got used to the food that had been sort of thrown out by the campers. and that same day, I think in the afternoon, late afternoon, I see another pheasant coming through. I see a kind of movement, and it's like white, and I'm like, what? I'm looking at this thing, and it was a silver pheasant, which is another incredibly difficult pheasant to see. Normally, you're lucky to even catch a glimpse of this thing. And again, this thing just walks through the campsite, right past our tent, and you're having to. I was like walking along with them, taking pictures, and yet constantly having to back up because you're too close with your camera. And I'm just going further back and snap, 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 and then walking back a little bit, snap, 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 and taking dozens of pictures of these things. Yeah, it was amazing, and that campsite had so many birds. There was even green peafowl there that were pretty tame.
Wow.
There was red-billed blue magpies hopping around in the trees, and yeah, it was an incredibly birdy campsite. So yeah, that was a real highlight, and we enjoyed the whole camping experience. You know, we were making little campfires and cooking, sweet potatoes in foil, and it was really a special time, eh? And our friend, she'd only arrived in Thailand, I think, the month before, and all she'd seen was her apartment and her school and just the center of that town. And she was a real nature lover as well, so she was really happy to be exposed to a bit of nature.
Yeah, I bet.
So that was pretty cool. Yeah, so I'll definitely put some photos of our trip there on the gallery.
Good way to start the new year.
It was
so you
amazing,
got your first. You didn't have your rock pigeon for the first bird of the year.
I didn't have my rock pigeon. Luckily, there were no rock pigeons there, but it could have been a drongo or something common. But I was just so. And Felix was trying to. He thought it was hilarious. He was trying to trick me. He said, "Dad, look up," like that. He was trying to get me to look at other birds. We kept trying to sort of get each other to sort of end up with some other more mediocre bird.
We should have known that 2020 was going to be a rough year when your first bird was rock pigeon. The world should have taken heed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, now that's what I've been up to, but I'm very keen. I actually know nothing about where they've been. He said, because we'll be a few days late with this podcast, but I sent him a message and I said, are we going to do a podcast? And he said, no, I'm hitting the road again with Linjo, so I've got absolutely no idea what you've been up to. So I'm very keen to hear what adventures you've had.
Now, first, before we talk about our adventure, I'm really surprised to see you did. There is a lot of similarities with our experience. We didn't tell each other what we were going to do, but we did camping too.
Oh, really?
Camping and also sort of opportunistic lockdown. It's weird. So I've done so much travel in Madagascar in the last few months. I almost feel like I've seen as many new places as I would have over the last 6 months or more due to the pandemic.
Yeah.
Just kind of forcing me to explore my adopted home island. So we continued that theme of doing like we did in northern Madagascar, mostly going to places that were either new for one or both of us or places we wanted to spend extra time. Yeah. So this was also, our decision to travel a bit more was also precipitated by the fact that the road back to where I live, Diego, is just absolutely horrible and almost closed and flooded, and so it didn't really inspire me to want to head home immediately. And then I was also thinking, wow, this is a good chance, since we're in Tana, to go south of Tana and do, certain things are within striking distance that once I drive that 30 plus hours back to Diego won't be again. So we took the opportunity, and we didn't have a plan. It was very spontaneous. We didn't do any research. Linjo, I guess, had seen something online, a promotion for a lodge near Andringitra National Park. Andringitra is sort of south central Madagascar, and it's a big mountain range. And so this lodge near Andringitra was having this incredibly cheap sort of promotion to try to get clients during the pandemic. And it worked for us.
Yeah.
So neither of us, it's funny because we both work in tourism in Madagascar. Maybe we shouldn't admit this, but we really didn't know much about Andringitra and how it worked. And it's a place that you and I, Charley, always drive by on tour, and I always pointed out to people. It's this big mountain.
Where is it between?
Between Nambalafo and
Yusi, Salo.
Anza Park, the Lemur Park, and then it's... Yeah, it's between that.
It's not the one with the big Pope's hat.
It's just immediately south of that. It's that's called I think it's called the Bishop's Cap. That big granite Bishop's mountain. Cap. Yeah. For people who don't know, this is sort of the high plateau of central Madagascar. You have an eastern escarpment that's quite abrupt, and then you have some mountains there, and then the interior west of that escarpment is highlands. And so Andringitra is just
scenically, it's beautiful, eh?
Beautiful, absolutely, strikingly rugged and wild and somewhat deforested. That's the sad part, but it still has a lot of natural beauty. So Andringitra is a place we always drive by on tour, and I always point it out to people. It's these high, rugged granite mountains. The highest peak up there is the second highest mountain in Madagascar. when Linzu and I went, we really didn't have a plan, and we didn't even know the practicalities of like, would we be able to go up in the mountains or climb any mountains or do any trekking. We just went to this cheap lodge and started there. But when she was contacting the lodge, she asked them, and then what about trekking, or do you guys organize excursions? And they gave us the name of a guy who organizes trekking in the national park. And then Linzu contacted him, and he offered us a really good price, because sort of pandemic price. And so we ended up doing a trek with this guy Augustin. We did a 3-day trek through Andringitra National Park, and we climbed that mountain, the second highest mountain in Madagascar. And it was an epic hike, a real adventure. Physically very demanding. We hiked 60 kilometers in 3 days, which I think that'll be tiring even if it's flat. But it wasn't flat. Yeah, exactly.
But with the elevation, it just makes it harder. Like we went from 900 to 2100.
2100 on the first day.
First day, second day, 21
to 26 or 27, the highest mountains around that.
And then going down
to 17.
This is also another story. Hard for the knees.
On the knees, eh?
Yeah. But it was memorable.
It was
more than we expected. It was
really.
We had no expectations, it's funny, as a guide you tend to plan your travel and study scrupulously and be ready for everything, and so it was kind of refreshing for both of us just to just go with the flow and everything went incredibly well, and this guy Augustin just did a wonderful job of arranging food and porters and everything, and it was just delightful. And we had no idea, like, where are we going? Like, we just started walking up the mountains, and we asked him, where are we going? And he kind of points, the peak's up there, but it's behind there, and you can't see it. Oh, okay, let's just go. And, it was just this trip.
You're a client for once, yeah.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Client with...
You should have asked him all the annoying questions that you're always asked.
We did.
Keep forgetting what he's told you, yeah.
No, I did, but everybody was kind of stuck in this COVID ambience. So the guide was one of the guide we had. The local guide was very honest. Like, I'm sorry, I kind of forgot everything. He was very friendly. He was a nice guy. Careful, nice guy. When I would ask the clients questions, he was like, he was thinking for a few minutes, trying to dig deep in his memory, and he's like, I'm sorry, I forgot. It would be very, very simple questions like how big is the park, or how long is the distance that you're gonna walk. And
you're getting me worried now. When we start guiding again, we're going to be the same. It's going to be like, God, I used to know this.
That's definitely a bird call. I'm not sure which one. It'll come to me. Just wait.
And at some point he was like, do you have a pen and a paper? I'm gonna take notes, like learning from Ken and myself. And
right. Yeah.
And we found out we both didn't have any pen in our bag,
neither pen nor
paper.
Really.
In this remote place, nobody has a pen or paper. It's just, as Ken would say, medieval.
Yeah.
And we didn't plan to go to Andringitra in the first place. We called Emil, as you know, in Ranmafana. So we called Emil, can we go there? Are you available? We want to go there. And then we called this lodge at this near Andringitra, and I called Emil again. Sorry, Emil, we changed our plans.
Oh, no, shame.
So it's very spontaneous, but we're going today down to Ranmafana. So that'll be our next adventure. We're gonna go hopefully camp in the park for a couple nights.
Okay.
We're going to go to the Vuiparara side of the park, the high elevation part of the park.
Right.
Anyway, we back to Andringitra. The campsite was beautiful. We were surrounded by the mountains, the rocks, and then you
Really?
have the valley on the other side, and very peaceful.
So
and
were you
lucky.
were you carrying all your camping gear and stuff like that?
Yes, we had porters.
There were porters to
Yeah.
carry our
It's
stuff.
impossible with a spontaneous and not prepared physically to get yourself the gears. It's suicide.
Yeah.
You could do it, but
You
you'd have
could,
to.
but
We
you-
didn't really have lightweight
Just be-
backpacking gear.
Yeah.
Right.
So we
We
just
were
hired
not ready for that.
porters, and we were also happy to make a little bit of work for
Yeah.
people there.
Yeah.
They've been suffering. There's something like 150 porters in the valleys there, and they had no work for a year.
Must be tough, eh?
But yeah, and I was just struck in Andringitra by how vast it was. I kind of imagined it as one big peak, and you sort of like climb up it and you go
Yeah.
down it. But it's this whole
Range.
plateau, and then there's multiple peaks, and then the highest peak, which they call Peak Bobi, isn't really well distinguished. There's 20 peaks that are
Right.
within a couple hundred meters of its height, but that means there's this whole domain of high mountains up there. It is really striking. And it's this sort of eroded granite landscape. Again, I'll put some pictures on the episode photo gallery. It's not like any
Fantastic.
other mountains I've been in. It's not like any place I've been in Madagascar. And it was just this amazing place to discover. Not many people, up there, which if you know Madagascar, there's just people everywhere on this island. Like you just
Yeah.
never get away from people. But up on this plateau, there was nobody. A couple cows, but you could just drink out of the rivers and streams, which
Right.
I always feel wealthy in a weird way when I can drink out of a river in it, and then it makes me always feel kind of strangely impoverished when I go back down to a place where that might be a life-threatening thing to do. It's just very, very liberating to just drink out of a mountain stream. Wonderful botany.
Oh, you had some cool plants there?
Oof, incredible plants up there. There's
Orchids.
endemic, orchids and palms and pachypodiums. And, because it's semi-dry and there's a lot of rocks. And it seems like, to me, as a very amateur botanist, you often get cool plants growing on rocks and in these kind of dry, extreme conditions. Not a lot of wildlife.
Oh, really? Must have been a few lizards and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, a lot of iguanids and a few cool geckos. One beautiful chameleon, Furcifer campani, which is a highland chameleon.
Oh, really?
Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Not a ton of wildlife. More about the scenery and botany.
Yeah, but we've been lucky too because the rain is late. So usually you don't go
Right.
on mountains with the thunder or
Yeah,
With-
that's I
Right,
think that's
sure.
part of why
It's
we
dangerous.
didn't really think about trekking, because I just assumed now if this is getting to be monsoon season,
gonna be
rainy season,
dangerous.
it's going to be dangerous.
Lightning.
We did have one afternoon that was pretty intense. We just got up onto the high plateau, which they call the moonscape. It's about 2,100 meters, and the day had been clear, but you could see the clouds building, and then this
Right.
huge cloud. It basically like climbed out of the valley and then just enveloped the plateau, and it was this sort of angry, dark gray cloud. And as we saw this thing coming towards us, the adrenaline starts to pump, and you're thinking, wow, it's going to pour rain, and there's going to be lightning, and there was. But thankfully, we found a little cave up in the moonscape.
Oh, really?
And so
Yeah.
we hid out from the rain for about an hour.
half an hour. Yeah.
Let's
Right.
call it 45 minutes, whatever. And we were just huddled in this cave, and there was thunder and lightning all around us, and this heavy rain, and it was an intense feeling. I mean, I've been on a lot of mountains, but this was one of my kind of closest brushes with a big thunderstorm on a mountain. And the local guide, Rasi, he was quite afraid as well. His English
Right.
wasn't great, but I was asking him, "Are you afraid of lightning?" And he was like, "Yes, very afraid." It was,
But I really like this how to say, shelter, like rock shelter. It made me think of the old days when people lived in caves, and it was very small, like
it was a tiny
it was
little
tiny
shelf, yeah,
little shelf,
but it
and-
was incredibly welcome.
Yeah.
Like,
And then we were just dry. We were protected. We felt safe, and yeah, it was just great experience. Like
it was amazing because we'd gone straight up this mountain. So we went up like 500 meters up the side of a mountain, and the sun was out, and it was humid, and we were just sweating like pigs.
yeah.
And then we got to the top of the plateau, and this thunderstorm rolled in, and it went, instantly we're cold. Like mountains are so changeable. You just went from just the extremes of temperature were amazing. That thunderstorm was quite the experience. I mean, the rocks were kind of vibrating with the thunder, and there was lightning like striking not far away. It was intimidating. It's good to feel the power of nature sometimes, and just it makes you feel small, puts you in your place.
Yeah.
And this time our umbrellas were useful, not like in Bemanevke where you were in the deep forest and it doesn't really help with the rain.
Yeah,
This was on open, and then
yeah, we had little portable umbrellas that really kept us from
Right.
being quite cold and wet up there.
Uh-huh.
yeah, but it was cold because we were sweaty.
Right,
And our clothes were just, after the hike.
After
when
the climb, you're soaked in sweat, and then all of a sudden
sweat, and suddenly
cold
it's
wind.
cold and wind, and it's just like, grrr. For me, at least, I'm the cold person. Very sensitive to cold. Yeah. It was great.
It was
we
great.
went down, and it was the first day.
Yeah, that was the first day was the highlight, and then then the second day we actually climbed the Peak Bobi, the highest mountain in Madagascar, the second highest in Madagascar,
Right.
the highest in Andringitra. And then we sort of finished a big loop around, another 30 kilometers or something. It was, or no, 40 kilometers.
Yeah.
But
And were there campsites there, or you just camped wherever you got to?
yep, there were
Yeah.
a couple established campsites with little shelters, little
Right.
very, very basic rock
Very
shelters.
basic rock
This
shelter for
reminds
cooking,
me for cooking,
Not for the tents.
but this reminds me of something.
No termites this time.
Unfortunately, they would have been very
no
welcome.
termites. We wished after the rain, we could
Right.
just do it again.
Get the fright.
Yeah,
get the fry pan out,
fried
yeah.
termites, but no. Unfortunately, no.
I was amazed. I've traveled in a lot of rugged places, and I've done a lot of challenging things myself, and I think of myself as relatively tough. But our porters and guides, they slept in the little cooking shelter. The one night we were about 2,100 meters, almost 7,000 feet.
Uh-huh.
They slept in this little cooking shelter. They didn't
Rocky.
have blankets, as far as I know. I think they each had like a sheet.
Mm-hmm.
They were all wearing shorts and sandals, and they slept basically on granite slabs or on the ground. Those were your two choices. and they all slept next to the fire, clustered around the fire, but that really doesn't make you particularly warm. And all they had was like a thin sheet each, no padding whatsoever, basically lying on cold rock and sleeping up at 7,000 feet. And I was just amazed by this, their sort of their stoicism, and in the morning they didn't seem
Tired.
less chipper than we did with our modern camping gear. It's pretty amazing.
Like Ken said, he loves the drinking water from the river. I loved
Me too. Yeah.
the shower
it's
in the
great.
river as well.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
like cold shower.
There was like
in
a
the
waterfall
rocks. Yeah,
right next to the camp.
a
Oh, really?
small waterfall,
Really?
and then that's just it was beautiful. I felt like in Mulan, the Disney.
Yeah, the water was like the perfect
Yeah.
temperature, and your body's kind of sore after that 22-kilometer hike, but then you get in this cold
Right.
water, and it's just so refreshing. This reminds me of another thing. I guess we were gonna try to make this a short episode as usual, but so we hadn't really planned this trip exhaustively, and we forgot sunblock. I thought I had some in the
no.
car, and I didn't. So you can imagine trekking 60 kilometers in the mountains. There's basically no shade anywhere, and then you're up, 5, 6, 7,000 feet. The sun is intense. This is sort of tropical summer sunshine, and it was. We just felt like we were battling the sun the whole time. So I wore long sleeves and long pants, and then I wrapped this scarf around my head and on my neck.
Uh-huh.
And then the local guides told us, aloe will help. Now I think of aloe as something that sort of soothes your skin when it's already burned, but we figured, let's give it a try. And so we were just, every time we found an aloe, we would just break open a leaf and just put this stuff all over our skin, and I still got burned on my hands and on my face.
But it helped a lot.
It helped a lot.
Certainly soothing, eh?
Extremely, yeah, very refreshing.
Yeah.
But the first time we put those on our face, it was like a boost. Like you have a kind of magic. It has a magical effect on let's do it, and then we were kind of walking faster, and I don't know. It's strange. We didn't tell each other, but it had the same effect on us. Maybe it's psychological. I don't know. So the aloe was a highlight, and the orchids.
Oh.
We were amazed by the orchids flowering, and you don't see them in November or October during the budding. It's only in January and February. Oh, it was beautiful.
Are they like a ground orchid or what?
Ground and in the rocks, and it was. Ken has a good photo, I think, and he's gonna post them.
Ooh, you're gonna have some fun on iNaturalist, Ken, with all your photos of those.
Yeah, I already uploaded a couple hundred observations this morning, and have a couple hundred more. Yeah, I'm really enjoying the iNaturalist thing, just to learn, just to have some kind of way of identifying some of these plants. So yeah, Ndringitra was amazing, and it was spontaneous. Huge waterfalls, and it was just so much to see up there. It was kind of a weird. In a way, it almost changed my perspective on Madagascar. I think I know the place, and I think I've sort of been almost everywhere, and then you go and you discover this whole new mountain world. It really is. It's such a big island. There's so many different things to see here. It's exciting, and thanks to the pandemic, we had a chance to do some of this stuff. Really awesome. Another thing you guys could think about doing. I know that Renelle likes to trek. I think Felix would make 60 kilometers.
Oh, I don't know. It's probably going to be another couple of years before we actually get there. So it'll be at 11 by then. So it'll probably be carrying me.
No, I think you would love it.
No, but he's got long legs. Yeah, he's quite good at hiking around.
And the valley where the lodge is also a nice place. Interesting. You have a lot of treks you can do. You have ring-tailed lemurs. You have a bit of forest and very good landscape. Overall.
Yeah, beautiful. Just the big granite sort of Inselbergs, and just rugged, and then the sort of human civilization in the valleys surrounding Ndringitra is absolutely beautiful in its own way, like truly medieval. Linjo and I were looking at the scene of like rice paddies and guys with cows that were sort of plowing the rice paddies, and a house behind, and like a big rock cattle corral, and I realized nothing here would be out of place in the Middle Ages, except maybe the guys like green made in China t-shirt, but there's just so few places like that left in the world. It's quite special. Even the kind of the human side of Ndringitra is amazing.
And for you, Charley, who is interested in language, it's gonna be fun to be there as well, to listen to the Betsleo dialect. That's the group, ethnic group. Is it very different? There. Yeah, it is very different. You'd love it. We try to record them when they meet. They have this little dialogue. Each time you meet, these greetings. How are you? And fine. How was the night? Blah blah blah. But it's quite long. It takes like 2-3 minutes each time you meet a person. They will do the same little ritual.
Exactly the same
thing, and then it's very interesting. It's like melodic.
Yeah, melodic kind of singing and almost like humming.
And authentic. It's just spontaneous. It's not made up thing, or it doesn't change even if with your presence as a stranger or foreigner or tourist or whatever.
Right.
They just do it naturally, and it's very enjoyable.
We were really struck by that, and I made a recording of it, and unfortunately I realized later my recorder wasn't working, so that I would have included that with this podcast, but we'll just have to describe it. Fascinating language. The way they kind of, everyone's kind of humming in unison. So, like our porters, and they meet 3 or 4 people, and they're all kind of humming together. And one person's asking a question, and then the people not asking the question are kind of, it's amazing. It's almost like a pack of coyotes or something. This like vocal blending, like this social ritual of like people kind of creating some kind of cohesion with their voices. It really like amazing thing to hear, like something going back probably 1,000 years in that Betsileo culture. Yeah, you would love just the linguistic side. The Betsileo accent and dialect are so different and distinct, even from the Marina dialect that you're probably more familiar with.
Do they have any little distinctive hats or anything there? I know they have different hats in each area.
Not this time. The women have different
hairstyles.
hairstyles.
Oh, really?
Distinctive. They still keep that, but the men.
They mostly wear baseball caps now.
Yeah, it's just Western.
I think there is a traditional hat,
there
right?
is,
but people
but
don't
it's
wear.
kind of
I saw a few people wearing it.
So
The older guys tend to have these little,
right,
it's like a short brim hat.
Right. Uh-huh.
Yeah, but we didn't meet a lot of those people during our hike, so we couldn't really tell if they...
So I guess we have a couple natural sounds this week. We started the episode with the Siamese fireback, which was it Felix who recorded that, Charlie?
Yeah, he was. He was desperate to record it, and then he was. If you can imagine, when you listen to it, that a little 8-year-old or a little 9-year-old running around after these pheasants and a voice recorder trying to record.
Cool. And then we'll end the episode with a second natural sound, which is a recording of ring-tailed lemurs that I made down in one of the valleys. There's actually a lot of ring-tailed lemurs around Andringitra, and there's not a lot of wildlife in general, but there's tons of ring-tailed lemurs. And the cool thing about them is, of all the more than 100 species of lemurs that have been described now, this is the only one that's somewhat terrestrial. Like they're quite comfortable sitting on rocks and sitting on the ground, and so they actually live up above tree line on the mountains of Andringitra. And we asked our friend, our guide there, Rasi, do you see ring-tailed lemurs here at the peak? And he said, yep, sometimes. So we weren't lucky to see them up there. We saw them down in the valley, but so ring-tailed lemur is quite a special thing for Andringitra. So I'll play a recording of ringtails. It's sort of the face of Madagascar's biodiversity. It's probably the best known lemur.
And they call them maki there, yeah?
Maki, yeah. Maki.
It's the Malagasy name.
The Malagasy name, yeah. And there's also like a clothing company in Madagascar called Maki, yeah?
Yes, the shirt, yeah. T-shirt.
My son's got some very cool Maki t-shirts. Yeah,
nice. Oh, so I was going to ask you one more thing. Are you quarantined now? Like, did you have to self-quarantine at home when you got home to Chiang Mai?
No, I think we escaped it. They haven't been as strict with the lockdowns this time as last time. So we got in. If you're going from a high-risk province to a low-risk province, they'll make you do a self-quarantine for 2 weeks in your house. But luckily, we avoided all the high-risk areas, and we got back in time before there was any lockdowns. So, I mean, we were just camping and hiking. We weren't really in contact with anybody at all. So we were pretty low risk. But now the schools here have closed down, so we're back to online learning.
Wow.
Which is fun.
Yeah, there's some uncertainty here in Madagascar as well. There were a lot of rumors that after the holidays, the whole country was going to lock down again.
Right.
it's very hard to get good information.
Have you got another spike like in many other countries?
Honestly, I don't know.
We tried to get some information, call people, watch on the internet, but there is no official, reliable information.
Right, information.
We know we hear there is new cases but we have no idea. We have no idea.
Right.
my neighbor back in Diego has COVID, so he's
Really?
just over the fence from us. So it's hitting close to home.
My wife's sister, my sister-in-law back in South Africa, just had COVID. Quite bad, you know. She was speaking on the phone and she was short of breath, and it really sounded not pleasant at all. You know, she's in her early 40s, but she's over the worst of it now. But it's really doesn't sound very nice at all.
It's such a weird thing because, you know, we might have had it. A bunch of us were sick over Christmas. It was
Right.
It's kind of a throat and chest thing, and
Yeah.
so much uncertainty. And here in Madagascar, it's virtually impossible to get tested, so you just don't even know. Like, have I had the thing? Have I not? Yep, on we go with the pandemic.
Yep. New year, we'll see what it brings.
Hey, it started with the fireback, so I take that as a very good omen.
It's a good sign. Nah, we're optimistic.
We need to
think
be
it's gonna
optimistic.
Yeah, but I don't think there's going to be any foreign travel for a while. But luckily, we're both in countries that have enough to keep us occupied.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. You know, like our friend Keith is in Taiwan, which is a wonderful place, but there's not a ton of places Keith can probably go in Taiwan that he hasn't been before, and it's not all that high diversity. Whereas Thailand and Madagascar are both pretty mega diversity places.
Yeah,
There is still a
and
lot.
big, and a lot of parks, and a lot of different landscapes, and really. So I mean, I'm not expecting to do any foreign travel, but I certainly have travel plans within Thailand this year, so I'm quite looking forward to those.
Great. Well, I guess we should wrap it up with as usual, we planned for a short episode and failed. But next week, we'll see. Either we might chat about travels, or we'll be back to top 10 mammals. Not quite sure.